welcome to Live in the Hive. Yes, another week has passed and I'm here in my garden bar, the Hive, bringing you the latest theatre news and interviews from across Greater Manchester. If you're new to the show, I am Michelle Eagleton. I'm with you for the next 30 minutes. And if you love theatre, you're definitely in the right place. I'm here every Sunday at 8 o'clock, streaming on the I Love Manchester Facebook page and the Live in the Hive Facebook page. But what have we got for you tonight? Well, we've got some great guests as usual, and they're from these productions. Yes, coming up, we have got the wonderful Patrick Robinson. He'll be joining me very soon to talk about Cat on a Hot Tin Roof, which is winging its way to the Royal Exchange. And we've also got Jo Patmore now. She's going to be telling me about Ladies' Day, which is really going down a storm at the Octagon in Bolton right now. Two amazing productions and brilliant actors coming up on the show. But if that wasn't enough, every week we do like to talk to you about Greater Manchester theatre news, and that as well is coming up on our show very soon with two quite interesting announcements when it comes to cast members. Oh, I'll leave you guessing. I love a bit of a tease on a Sunday night. But first off, let's kick off tonight's show with an actor you might know from BBC's Casualty. Yes, he starred in that show for over a decade as Ash. Oh, we loved him. We took him to our hearts. But of course, he is multi-talented. He has been on so many stages up and down the country, starting off at the RSC and now coming to Manchester's Royal Exchange with Cat on a Hot Tin Roof. Of course, I'm talking about the wonderful Patrick Robinson. I caught up with him earlier this week to find out how the rehearsals are going and what this production is going to be like.
Well, I'd say that all good writing will, telling the human condition will probably always be relevant, whatever era it was written. I mean, we can just say Shakespeare was written hundreds of years ago and it's still relevant. So many of the plays that he's written. So, yeah, good writers, I believe their stories hold up, whatever era we're in.
And the character that you're playing in this, I mean, Big Daddy. I love the name Big Daddy. He is quite a man, isn't he? He's quite cantankerous, Patrick.
He is, but I'd like to think that, he's got a full background of life that gives you the reason why he is seen to be cantankerous. He's gone through a lot, and obviously he's got to where he's got to in life, and so he believes that the only reason he's got to where he's got to is because of his own belief and his own work ethic and so on. So he doesn't feel that he's had anyone really give him anything, if you know what I mean. He's had to fight for it and work hard for it, and his status is sort of it was self-achieved, as it were. So yeah, he feels very strongly about his status in the world.
And what's it like in the rehearsal process? Because you're in the middle of rehearsals at the moment. Do you do a lot of work on that backstory and building that relationship with the rest of your family in this production?
Oh yeah, absolutely. We all have our thread. We all have our journeys, how we've come to the place where you all, that the piece starts, where you see us. So the background has been filled in, and the I's have been dotted, T's have been crossed, and so on. So yeah, we're always finding out more and more things about each character and what the background and how they come to be. Basically, why is he saying that at that point? It's all of that, yeah. So we're forensically going through the whole piece.
And of course, it's quite an interesting play to be bringing to the Royal Exchange, with it being in the round. This is your debut at the Royal Exchange. How are you finding it? Have you actually moved from the rehearsal room, I suppose, into blocking it on the stage yet?
No, still in the rehearsal room. I've only seen one show here, and that was only recently. So it's all new, all very exciting.
Yeah. What are you thinking then of the Royal Exchange? Because I myself think it's such a magnificent theatre to actually watch something in, to perform it. It must be, feeling like, God, I can't wait to get on that stage.
Well, I my early days before I went to drama school, I was studying to be an architect. So for me, the building is incredible, and I'm still very interested in architecture and all the rest of it. So the Exchange building is beautiful as far as I'm concerned, and it's like the theatre's been sort of materialized like from Star Trek, where they just put this bubble within this beautiful old building, and it works a treat as far as I can see. So yeah, it's beautiful.
Well, you talked about your early acting days. I mean, you started off in the stage in the RSC. Have you always thought, because, you know, a lot of us know you and love you from things like Casualty and The Bill and know you from the
Oh,
telly. And then a lot
oh,
of people
thanks.
forget that you have all this wealth on the stage. Is it good when you get the opportunity to return to it? Because I imagine your passion and your love started from there.
Yeah, I always think it's the actor's discipline at doing stage. It's 8 shows a week. Every night is a different show, if you like, in terms of the performances. Yeah, it's a real, tricky discipline. And let's face it, when we're all doing Amdram or you're doing sort of drama group stuff when you're young, only now would you say that things are being done where people are filming themselves and stuff. But way back when, late 70s, early 80s, there wasn't that chance to have someone have a camcorder on you or anything like that. So everything was live. So one of the things that I remind people is that I'm not good at watching myself on screen. And I go, because I was there. And when I watch myself, I'm like, oh, I could have done that. All of those critical
Yeah.
things happen. So for me, the stage is the key to doing, if you like, the real acting work. But yeah, it takes its toll after a while. Doing a tour for 15 months is not ideal for me these days. But yeah, but doing really good work. Hopefully, you can do that on stage, and then if it goes any further, it has more life. Then you can maybe film it. And of course, I've done all those different disciplines too. But yeah, the stage is the key. It's doing the act thing where you have the beginning, the middle, and the end, and you have to do that journey in one go. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's
You,
more preferable for me.
you get one chance a night. It's kind of that live and that
Mm.
instant reaction that you get from the audience, which I must be just so breathtaking, really, when you get that.
Yeah, it's quite exhilarating when it's done well, and when you're in the room on that night and the show was great and all the rest of it. Yeah, it's the instant feedback, and I think a lot of actors prefer that, just to get that kind of reaction.
Well, a lot of people are going to be clamoring to go and see Cat on a Hot Tin Roof. It is such a popular piece of Tennessee's work. Um,
Mm.
have you had you seen anything like the production before? Because there's been a lot of productions anyway of Cat on a Hot Tin Roof. Or have you watched the film as well? Or as an actor, do you tend to kind of stay away from anything like that?
No, well, it depends on what the piece is, to be honest.
Yeah,
And for me, I've watched many films that obviously you think about the Hollywood greats, Elizabeth Taylor and Paul Newman. I watched that film not knowing it was Tennessee Williams having written it. I just watched a film and I thought it was brilliant. And I remember it when I first watched it when I was a youngster. So, and then obviously you go to drama school, start becoming more aware of writers and what pieces are really, gripping and all the rest of it. And you think, oh, that part will be good to play. But initially, I remember it, and it had such impact. And so when you realize what it is, Cat on a Hot Tin Roof, you go, oh, I know that piece. So I haven't seen a production. No, I haven't seen a stage production of it. There was one in London with James Earl Jones playing Big Daddy,
yes.
and I really wanted to see that one, but I didn't get a chance. I was working, so there was no chance to go to the theatre to see it. So no, I haven't really. Sweetbird, yeah, Sweetbird of Youth, I think is one of them. But no, I haven't seen Cat on a Hot Tin Roof as a stage production. Films, yes.
Well, it is. I mean, it's great, and it's great that we've got it here in Manchester.
Hmm.
You have been groundbreaking, though, as well with some of your work in the past, because I'm sure I heard that you were the first black actor to play Romeo in Romeo and Juliet at the RSC, weren't you?
It was unofficially officially true. Yes, that was
Wow.
in '87, and I was 23 at the RSC at the Barbican when they had the theatre spaces there, and I was the understudy. So that's what I mean. It was unofficially official.
Official, yeah.
And it was Sean Bean who was playing Romeo, and Neve Cusack was playing Juliet. And
That's
I
a
was,
cast.
yeah, it was a great cast. You know, Hugh Quashie was playing Tybalt. And yeah, it was a great cast, and I was the understudy, and Sean Bean was leaving, and I can say basically they didn't trust me to actually take the role over, so they brought in Greg Hicks to play Romeo, and during the fight sequences in rehearsals, he got injured, got sort of almost stabbed in the eye, you know, because it was
Wow.
set modern day. We had flick knives and chains and stuff, and he got hit, and then he was off. And of course, it was under school's curriculum, and they'd cancel one night just to hopefully, you know, to hope that he would get back, but he wasn't healthy enough. He had 2 weeks off, and literally, I was told I was going on that night, and I played it for the next, 2 weeks. Basically.
That must have been a great feeling. Daunting,
Yeah,
maybe, but a great
absolutely. Yeah. I bricked myself and then went, okay, this is it, and I was very chuffed to be able to have said, yeah, I played Romeo at the RSC, doing Shakespeare, playing a leading role. And yeah, it was fab, and I loved it.
Does it please you now? Because I think we're at a time where now we've got no kind of barriers, and there's so much more diversity in parts. You've got Cush Jumbo playing Hamlet. It's kind of, the platform has changed. And does that make you feel good for the future generation coming up as actors, that they're getting those opportunities?
I suppose part of me is quite cynical about it all, because I still think that it's the people who make the decisions upstairs. That's where diversity needs to hit home.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, it's a bit of a knee-jerk reaction to do with, you can see commercials now where everyone in those commercials are of color. And I think, I did a commercial in 1990. I was one of the only dark faces on screen. So, I've been in business, over 36 years. So I know from the word go, I was saying the same thing, that actors of color don't get a fair crack of the whip at anything. We have to be so much more better than our white counterparts. And of course, you've called me a black actor. No, I don't see myself as a black actor. I see myself as an actor. Yeah. So of course, in the end, you don't see yourself as a white woman. You see yourself as a woman. I see myself as a man. So these boxes that's been put there, as far as I'm concerned, I haven't put that there. So in the end, when it comes down to it's getting better, I go, yeah, it's getting better, but I still put it down as a sort of, it's minuscule as far as I'm concerned. When the people upstairs who make the decisions have become seriously diverse, then I probably will go, hey, but until then, bit of a knee-jerk reaction, and it could be a lot better.
Still a fair way to go then, Patrick.
For me, yes. And I've been saying it since I was 26, and I'm reaching my 60s. There you go.
And we get a ripe age this year, Patrick.
We do. We do. If God spares life. Yes, thank you very much, Michelle. Thank you.
Well, you are looking absolutely fantastic. Before I let you go, though, I am going to ask you about Casualty, because, again, I did hear a rumour about you not actually liking hospitals, and you spent so many years in that role.
Yeah, I can't stand hospitals. It's full of sick people, and, can't stand needles, sight of blood. Oh. Yeah. But, you overcome those things if you're working, and if you're an actor, you focus. So that's what I did in early days, It was only when I went back to Casualty in 2012 to 2014 that I was playing a consultant. The character obviously graduate up to being a doctor. And it was the jargon that was very, very tricky to deal with. Not so much the blood or the needles and all the rest of it, but yeah, absolutely.
Oh, great to chat to Patrick there. What a lovely guy, and what a fabulous actor. I think he's going to be amazing as Big Daddy in Cat on a Hot Tin Roof. Try and catch it if you can at the Royal Exchange. Still to come, though, on the show, I'm going to be chatting to Jo Patmore about starring in Ladies' Day at the Octagon. So stay tuned for that. But for now, of course, it's time for this. Greater Manchester Theatre news, and tonight we kick off with the sad news that Oldham Coliseum has confirmed it will be shutting its doors for good on the 31st of March. It comes after earlier this year the announcement of the Arts Council stopping their funding for the Coliseum. I think everybody hoped that a lifeline would be thrown to them, and unfortunately it hasn't. This is really upsetting for everybody in Oldham, in the theatre world, the people who work at the Oldham Coliseum who are going to be losing their jobs. This is a theatre that has been going for over a century and launched the careers of some of our best actors here in England. As you can see, though, they released a statement thanking everybody for their support. To our audiences, industry colleagues, partners, sponsors, funders, patrons and friends, we cannot thank you enough for your support over more than a century of theatre. Well, we thank you, the Oldham Coliseum. And as I say, my heart goes out to each and every one of you. It really will be missed. Now, elsewhere in the theatre world, we've had a couple of cast announcements this week. First off, Tom Reed-Wilson has been named as Squidward in the SpongeBob musical, coming to Manchester's Opera House on the 16th to the 20th of May. You might recognise his face from E4's Celebs Go Dating. He played the receptionist in that very popular reality TV series. I never knew he could sing or dance, but apparently Tom started his career at theatre schools and has done a number of productions before we've seen him on Celebs Go Dating. I think it'll be very interesting to see him as this character, because that is what Squidward looks like in the popular Nickelodeon show. My 8-year-old boy absolutely loves it. So we're going to be getting ourselves down to the Opera House in May to see how that pans out. Something that's making a return, though, and a very welcome one at that, is everybody's talking about Jamie. Yes, it's touring the UK. It's coming on the 7th to the 17th to the Lowry in Salford, and John Partridge has been named as Loco Chanel / Hugo. He is going to be brilliant in this role. He's already starred in a number of West End shows, from Cats, A Chorus Line and La Cage aux Folles. And of course, you might remember him from EastEnders, a very talented man. He's joining Shobna Gulati, who is back in the cast of Everyone's Talking About Jamie. And of course, she was in the film version as well. Would you fancy another guest? Of course you do. Well, Jo Patmore joined me earlier this week. She told me all about her role as Linda in Ladies' Day. It's going down a storm with reviewers and audiences alike at the Octagon in Bolton. So, of course, I had to get the lowdown and also find out if she's had a flutter at the races as well.
Ladies' Day is a play that is centered around female friendship. It's about 4 women of all different ages who work at a fish factory in Hull in 2005, and they decide to head to the races to celebrate the oldest member of the group, Pearl's, retirement. Or she insists she's not retiring but leaving work. And when they go to the races, lots of humor, hilarity unfolds, secrets get revealed, and they meet a few different characters along the way that are played by our wonderful actor Gareth Cassidy. He plays all the men in the play, so they all have their own little adventure.
Oh, I love it. And I do love, I mean, bless him, Gareth, doing all those roles and stuff. But I do like the fact that it's predominantly an all-woman cast, and it sounds like some really great characters that are in there as well, all different kind of dimensions to them. They all have their own sort of unique personality. You've got Shelley, played by Annie Kirkman, who is this fiery, confident, quite boisterous character, hasn't really got a filter, says what she thinks, and does what she wants to do. And she's just great fun to watch throughout the show. And Pearl is played by Kate Wood. She's the oldest of the group, the sort of matriarch, and she's got her own little secrets that she's hiding. Everybody thinks, Pearl's kind of the one that's all sorted out and got things how they should be. And then maybe throughout the play, you find out things aren't always as they seem. And then we have Jan, played by Tanya Loretta D. She's a mother, a very devoted mother. Her daughter's about to leave to go to university. She's struggling with a little bit of preemptive empty nest syndrome. And she's just
a little bit uptight at times, maybe, and learns to let loose a bit more in this. So yeah, she's great too.
And of course, your character, Linda.
Yes, so I play Linda. She is the youngest of the group. She's quite naive, impressionable. She sort of follows the other girls around a bit, and she is a big fan, the biggest fan in the world of Tony Christie. So her number one dream is to find him at the races. So who knows what happens.
Oh, I absolutely love it. Do we get a bit of the way to Amarillo then, I'm thinking, with Tony Christie?
We might get a little bit of Amarillo. Yeah, it might appear a couple of times. You might see a little bit dancing, a little bit of singing along. Yeah.
Well, it's great because you must see the joy on the people's faces when they're watching this show, because this production's in the round, isn't it? They've kind of like the configuration at the Octagon is brilliant. Every time you go,
yeah,
it's like you kind of get a different take on stuff. So is that great for you as an actress to be able to see that?
Yeah, you know, I do think working in the round is a really lovely thing. I think you feel really sort of surrounded and supported in a nice way, not in a sort of terrifying way, of the audience. And I think sometimes it helps you to feel even more in the action, and for the audience too, to feel closer, to feel a part of it. And it allows us as well as actors to not be limited by the audience or all on one side. You can instead move in a way that's possibly feels even more naturalistic and even more real, because there's people that can see you everywhere. And if you come to see the show more than once, you'll see something different if you sit somewhere new. And and you can always find different people in the audience will get to see little different surprises or little different moments from each character, which I think is a lovely thing you get in the round. And of course, we get to see all their lovely reactions. So that's great too.
I'm a big fan of In the Round myself, but I suppose as well, you know, not only is it kind of nice to see the faces, but again, you know, as actresses, you always kind of want to be challenged too. And in the rehearsal room, I imagine that is the challenge, isn't it? Do you mark out kind of the staging area? Is that how it works?
Yeah, we had a markup on the floor of the stage. This was when we were rehearsing at the New Vic Theatre. So we started at the New Vic and then we came across to the Bolton Octagon. And at the New Vic, we had a marking on the floor of how big the stage was and sort of the sides and where all the exits were. And then we just sort of started playing around. Our director, Marika Audsley, is brilliant, and she allowed us to be quite free and figure out what felt natural, what felt right for us, and keep that sort of fluid. And I mean, you do have to think about it, though. You have to think, okay, well, I've got to make sure that everybody's getting a chance to see everybody, and it's not just that person seeing my back for this whole scene. So yeah, you got to figure all of that out, but it's good fun to figure it out. Yeah.
Oh, and I know that in rehearsals as well, you had a bit of fun as a cast, because didn't you go off to the races yourselves and have a bit of a day out?
We were there. We took our little fascinators. We were wearing woolly hats because it was cold, but we took fascinators too that we could pin on the top for some photos.
The woolly hats.
Yeah, I think everybody else there was thinking, what on earth has just walked into the races?
Yeah.
But there you go. We met some of the members, some great characters there who obviously go to the races all the time and place a lot of bets and know what they're talking about. We spoke to the bookies and learned all about that. We placed a few small bets ourselves, but we did get very excited.
Did you win? Did you win anything?
Well, I think I was the biggest one of the night with about £13.50, which,
not bad.
you know, felt like a pretty big deal at the time. I was pretty excited about my £13.50.
That's a bus fare home.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Oh, I do love the shows at the Octagon, and that sounds an absolute cracker. So if you want to catch Jo in action, then do go and see it in Ladies' Day at the Octagon. It's on until the 1st of April. And of course, if you want to see any other shows across Greater Manchester, all you need to do is head down to the I Love Manchester website. They've got everything that's on in their listing, so where to go and what to see. And if you do want to give us a follow throughout the week, then please do. We're on our social media. We're on on Twitter and Instagram at Live in the Hive 21. And of course, we're here every week, every Sunday night at 8 o'clock. I am in the Hive, bringing you the latest in theatre news and interviews. So do spread the word to everybody, and I will see you next week with more great guests. Have a good one.